Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the videos.
A ferry to Jaffna. See, a ferry service from Nagapattinam, that is in Tamil Nadu, to Jaffna, Sri Lanka has been restarted. During the early 1900s, the maritime service between India and Sri Lanka began. But during 1980s, it was discontinued because of ethnic conflict. And then later, after 2000, the effort was made by both the government to revive the ferry service, but it has not got materialized. During 2011 also, the two government, Indian government as well as Sri Lankan government, signed an MOU to revive the ferry service, but it did not got materialized. Even during 2022, a ferry service between Thoothukudi to Sri Lanka was started, but it got shut down after 6 months. Right now, it again got restarted. This ferry service will have huge impact on boosting trade between India as well as Sri Lanka, and then it will enable the people to people, culture to culture connect between India as well as Sri Lanka. And then the vision document between Indian which was signed by India as well as Sri Lanka aims to revive the maritime connectivity. In that, what India as well as Sri Lanka has made a vision is that they wanted to develop ports like Colombo, Trincomalee and Kanke Sandurai. So these are all the ports which the India is trying to revive, and then it wanted to strengthen the maritime cooperation. As a result of this only, this ferry service, from that perspective, this ferry service is very important in terms of trade as well as people to people connect, and in terms of other strategic thing. So in recent years, the Chinese involvement in Sri Lanka is one of the major concern in terms of relationship between India as well as Sri Lanka. But India took a civilizational aspect to counterbalance the Chinese influence in the region. The civilizational aspect in the sense, see, India has ancient cultural as well as people connect with the Sri Lanka. So this aspect has been introduced by India to overcome the challenge that has been produced by Beijing in the Sri Lanka. As a part of it also, the ferry service could be viewed. So ferry service will be reviving the people to people as well as cultural to culture relationship between India as well as Sri Lanka. So this is what the details in relation to the news is about. Okay, how the news is being related to civil service examination is, under prelims, the news is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains, it is related to India and its neighborhood relations, which comes under GS paper 2, international relation. So let's have a look into the details in relation to the India as well as Sri Lanka's relationship. See, as I said, India and Sri Lanka share a historical relationship in terms of cultural as well as the people connect from the ancient time itself, and also in terms of economic cooperation, India is the Sri Lanka's third largest trade destination, and at the same time, Sri Lanka is having a huge benefit of free trade agreement which it has signed with India. And then in terms of development cooperation, India has pledged to build some 50,000 housing for the areas that has been affected by the civil war, and then it has provided aid during the recent balance of payment crisis that has happened in Sri Lanka. And then they are one of the important partners in terms of SAARC and BIMSTEC to develop the region and protect the region from any kind of external influence. And in terms of defense cooperation, India is providing training for the Sri Lankan military, and at the same time, Mitra Shakti military exercise is also being conducted between India as well as Sri Lanka military for the technology and then service related ideas, and then the exchange of threat related information that has been occurring in the Indian Ocean region. And then India is also exporting the military hardware to support the Sri Lankan. Why? Because right now Sri Lanka is one of the country which is geographically very important for India to contain the Chinese influence in the Indian Ocean region. For that, and also at the same time, most of the trade of India is passing through the Indian Ocean region. Because of this piracy and then the drug trafficking that has been taking place in the Indian Ocean region is affecting the India's strategic interest. To contain this kind of negative things that has been happening in the Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka is very important for India. So to strengthen the Sri Lankan's army capability is one of the important requirement for India. For that, India is exporting military hardware and then sharing the intelligence to Sri Lankan military, and then training by India, and then military exercise between the countries is all one of the important part of it. So what significance the India-Sri Lanka bilateral relationship has is, first and foremost, as I said, because of the geographical location of Sri Lanka, it holds some geopolitical importance for India to prevent the Indian Ocean from the Chinese influence, to prevent the Indian Ocean from drug trafficking, to prevent the Indian Ocean from the piracy related issues, so that India's trade security, energy security, and then the strategic aspect of India's strategic vision of India will be fulfilled because of the strengthening of relationship between India and Sri Lanka. Secondly, because of heavy influence of people to people connect and then cultural to cultural connect, it has positively influenced the India as well as Sri Lankan relationship, which has some ripple effect, positive effect on the economic as well as strategic aspect. And then defense cooperation. As I said, Sri Lanka is very important for India strategically. For that, defense cooperation is more important for it, which Sri Lanka is also in the dire need for the intelligence as well as export the military hardware which India is providing to it. For that, India requires a cooperation from Sri Lanka for securing the Indian Ocean region. So these are all the three significance the Indian-Sri Lanka bilateral relationship has, and what challenges it poses is, first and foremost, is the fishermen issues, and then Kachativu issues. During 1934, during the 1974 agreement, the Kachativu has been given to the Sri Lanka with this right specifically reserved for the Tamil Nadu fishermen. But the wordings that has been made in the agreement is so vague that the Sri Lankan government has neglected the fisherman right, most importantly Tamil Nadu fisherman rights in the Indian fisherman rights in the coast, the Kachativu region. So right now that issue is right now going on, and it is also having some. It is also one of the challenges for the relationship. And then thirdly, the Chinese influence in the island. So these are all the challenges in the relation between India as well as Sri Lanka. So what need to be studied further is, we should know about the Sri Lanka map. Secondly, we should also know about the recent Sri Lankan economic crisis, which has happened because of the COVID as well as the Russian-Ukraine war and so on and so forth. So what are all the causes? What impact that does the Sri Lankan economic crisis have on the India-Sri Lankan relationship, and what are all the way forward, and what are all the Sri Lankan Sri Lankan government is doing to overcome the economic crisis? These are all the things which we need to be aware of. Thirdly, we should also know about what is balance of payment is, what are all the components or the constituents